Hello, today is December 17th, 2024. The reason why that's important is because this tank right here was set up on September 29th, 2024, obviously. I've been using this sodium thiosulfate. It's in crystal form. I answer the questions of people who have emailed me wanting details. This is the Wallstead fatherfish method. You can see so I have 1 inch of base layer and then 2 inches of sand. All the sand and the base layer, which is sand, all came from my local river and pond. I planted some plants in there, as you can see. I just dumped some leaves in today. I have a sponge filter, and because I wanted to add some algae eaters to this tank, I added the heater that you can see right here. It's 22 degrees centigrade for those 3 algae eating fish, whatever they are called, and I have a little tiny pleco cruising around there somewhere, and I have narite snails. Otherwise, the goldfish, before the other one died last week from unknown causes, was he starving to death? I don't know, because they used to all get fed a tiny bit every day, every other day, maybe twice a day, before I switched to this natural aquarium and following Father Fish's advice. The thing that's been curious is not only knowing the ratio. I guess I'll put this right here so you can see it and it remains in focus. How many grams per liters to put in to get the chlorine out. I looked around on the internet and I found some measurements. Some of them conflicted. So I guess I'm figuring this out myself, which is also why people wrote me in to ask, put online, what your mixtures were. And they also wanted to see my JBL test strips. I have this kit, the classic test strips in here. I just get a recharge. And somebody asked me, are these older than 6 months? And the answer is yes, these are older than 6 months. So according to one person, he said any of these strips that are 6 months old, older than 6 months, they go bad. But at the bottom of the can, the end date is September 2025. And of course, in this cap is something, a desiccant, to keep everything dry. So I don't know what that particular YouTuber is talking about, but I'm giving you the information so you can debate, make your comments. So according to this, here we go. There's what the general colors are. Here is my nitrate level. Now I've been keeping fish for I guess about 6 years, and none of my tanks, I had 7 or 8 tanks at one point, none of them ever showed 0 in the nitrite level, this green area. There was always 0.25 for years and years and years, and it never went away. And yes, in other tanks I have canister filters. So I have no idea if that's just because it never ever went away, or if it's false readings on JBL's part. I have no idea. Here's the history of the nitrates. They went up and down. You can see the dates. There aren't tons of measures. The first one, I guess, well, there's an older one in November. But there's your general level. The GH is pretty consistent. as you can see. KH vacillates a little bit. That's always been the case. The pH vacillates a little bit. Now here's the crazy part. So I'll tell you a little bit about the chlorine levels. When I filled this tank up the very first time, I can't remember, but it was mostly, if not all, river water. That was a mixture of old tank water before I switched the tank to a dirted planet tank. Sorry, my English is a little wackadoo. And then here's the CO2 levels. And a lot of the times, historically, my CO2 has been at the, less than 15. And I'm not sure why it vacillates here. Periodically, I did have an air stone in there at night. Because somebody suggested that during the day I wouldn't need it, but maybe I could add oxygen for the fish at night and pop an air stone in there. And since my air pump has 2 ports, I figured why not. So that's another issue entirely. But anyways, going back to the chlorine levels. These are crazy levels, and sometimes even, so the difference between 312, here are all the measurements. Chlorine, there's 0.8, I have no idea why. And then on the 5th, there's 1.5. Again, I have no idea why it's going off. Here's 612, shows there's 0.8, and then I have 0 nitrates. What's that all about? But I have 0 nitrites at that point. And then it looks like I did it a second time to get rid of the chlorine, and then nitrates show up as 18. That's at noon, and the other one was at 11:25. So I guess I'm testing the impact on the tank after I put in this sodium thiosulfate, sulfate, and then today I got this reading. So I was at 0 chlorine. Nothing changes in the tank, right? This is on the 17th of December. So what changed in the tank? Okay, so I added some leaves from a stream and some of the water, obviously, with the leaves in the stream. And I'm sticking my arms in, well, one arm, to move the plants around and to plant plants and then to put those leaves in there. So the only way that chlorine is getting in there is either from my arm, which I haven't found anybody who discussed whether sticking their arms in the tanks is putting chlorine in there. Maybe that's why I get 0.8 sometimes. I have no idea. And anyways, the chlorine is supposed to be gassing off, but the majority of the time I have 0.8 in there, and then I have to stick in more solution. Now, before I used the TetraSafe blue solution, so I don't know. It's weird. So anyways, there's my reading for today, and I put in another 2 grams just now, and actually I guess I should take another reading to show you. Sorry about that, I wasn't thinking properly. And then I'll prepare my notes and tell you about how things went. But anyways, I'll take a little test right now and tell you what the measurements are, and I'll get back to you. Okay, I'm back. I took another test. Now you're going to be a little surprised about this. Well, just because I'm surprised. All right, so the first one was at 119. So 119, there are the readings. Okay, so you see that chlorine 1.5 milligrams per liter. So just because I didn't feel like looking at the calculation, I was lazy. I put in 2 grams of the sodium thiosulfate, and look what I get at 210. So, nearly an hour later, the nitrates spiked, nitrates went up, the GH is a 7, the KH decreased a little, pH decreased a little bit. There's no more chlorine, and my carbon dioxide went up based on that chemical injection. So that's kind of weird. I'll show it to you again. There's the first reading before I put the 2 grams in, and this is after putting in a tiny bit of river water or stream water and putting in those leaves that you see in the tank and putting my arm, which really should only affect the salt content of the tank, but hey, what can I say? And then, sorry about that, I've had too much coffee this morning. And then here's the reading an hour later, and you see how it's all been affected, all the readings. And that's 2 grams of sodium thiosulfate in a 110 liter tank, which is 29 gallons, minus the deep substrate, the plants, the heater, and the sponge filter. Okay? So there you go. Now, let me show you the formula sheet. Here's the formula sheet. Maybe I'll put it, sorry. And no, I'm not gonna edit anything because I'm too lazy. Okay? There you go. So I found somebody who said 65 grams of the sodium thiosulfate. I crush it and then dissolve it in 500 milliliters of water, which is a little water bottle. That's what they did. Then 1 milliliter of that solution treats 10 gallons of chlorinated water. Now I'm just using tap water. He didn't specify whether they were US or imperial gallons, so I just converted everything to US gallons. Therefore, 500 milliliters of the solution times 10 US gallons means that you can treat 5,000 US gallons based on 65 grams. He did say that the solution only remains potent for 6 months, and a different internet article said 1 milliliter treats 20 gallons. I basically did the math, hopefully, since I don't really remember my math. I took the 500 milliliters divided by 65 grams. It came up with 7.7 milliliters per gram. Multiply the 7.7 times 10 US gallons, and you get 77 US gallons of treatable water per gram of sodium thiosulfate. My 2 planted dirty tanks are what you see there. 110 liters or 29 US gallons, 400 liters or 105 US gallons. Okay, so I put in 2 grams in here, which is way more than I need, right? Because 1 gram treats 77 gallons. This is only a 29 gallon tank. So you can tell me what you think about that situation just in this tank. And I don't know if I should do another reading tomorrow, but basically I have no idea what's going on because I don't know the chemistry. From what I understood, this sodium thiosulfate is supposed to eliminate chlorine and break up chloramine molecules, which separates the chloramine molecule into ammonia and chlorine, so it kills the chlorine and leaves you with an ammonia spike. And that ammonia spike is supposed to be short-lived and absorbed by the plants or your biological filtration. So there's that. I didn't read anywhere else what its impact on GH and KH and pH and all that. There were some people talking about stuff, but what I found was too technical for my wee brain. So I can't talk about that. But this is the stuff that people use for um, pools, drinking water. Depends on your country. If you're from a poor country or rich country, uh, meaning advanced industrialized nations versus developing nations. Used to be called the third world, right? Now I wanted to show you, since I'm talking here, what one of the river measures I got. So the river water comes up with 0.8 chlorine, and the other ranges there. And so did the lake water and the pond water. So there are my variables. What can I tell you? And the tap water, oh, I guess you want to see the tap water because the seeing is believing. Here's a pond. Here's a pond. And here's the tap water. Tap water, what comes out of my faucet. There you go. Okay. See you later. Sorry I didn't add music. Yappada yappada youpity youpity. Okay, so here's the 400 liter or 100 gallon tank. I just did a top off about here. No, actually it was more like from here to here, right? So not that much water, straight out of the tap. And you're not going to believe the crazy readings I got. So I'm just going to show you. This is what I had on, let's see, on the 6th of December. And the tank was just running, right? I didn't add anything, didn't do anything. I had ick for a while, and I dropped the temperature down. So then today, I added the water in, and here is, this is what I had beforehand. Okay, so you see the levels, it's all pretty good. I always have 0.25 nitrites, had for 7 years. That's all my tanks have been like that. So then I added 2 grams of the sodium thiosulfate, and then I look at these levels, and you see they've changed, and now it says I have chlorine, 0.8 chlorine in there, so I thought, okay, well, I'll just add some more in because I was dealing with the other tank. So I added in 3 grams, and now, so you can see how the totals are totally changing, right? And it says chlorine, now I have more chlorine, 1.5, than when I started. And so I don't really understand how this sodium thiosulfate works at all. Maybe you do, but I don't know. It's making me worried about using it. So it's weird, and obviously I just need to understand the chemistry, or my JBL strips don't work, or I shouldn't use this in aquariums, even though people do. I mean, you know, it takes away, it breaks up chloramines and separates the chlorine and the ammonia, and so really I should be showing ammonia spikes and not chlorine spikes. So I don't get it. Anyways, I put this on here because you said you would explain it to me. So there. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay, somebody asked me to retest with the JBL test strips in each tank 24 hours later. So here's the one. Well, that's weird. Oh yeah, that was, okay, so, so here are the details for 24 hours later, which is kind of strange, but that's it. This is in the 29-gallon tank, 110 liter. And for the 400 liter, 100-gallon tank, 24 hours later, well, actually 48 hours later, here are the readings. You see, so it's really weird, all the fluctuations. Now, is it the sodium thiosulfate? Is it the JBL test strips? Like I said, some people say they're not useful after 6 months, but the container says good until September 2025, so I don't know what to think about that. But here are the test results. So I'll add this to the video.